Considering the fiscal financial crisis, what significant prior experience do you have in managing large sums of money in public employees?
Well, public employees are just like private employees. They're human beings and they have jobs to do. They should be held accountable. When somebody has a position that requires them to do something, they should do it. I had my own construction company for 15 years. I had 10 guys working for me at one point, so I know how to manage people to a certain extent. Sometimes it felt like herding cats, but was able to do it. And large sums of money, I transitioned over into the financial field about 20 years ago, and I now manage over $50 million for clients, so I think that I have a pretty good hand on large sums of money.
Janice?
My experience with, as you say, large sums of money, prior to being on the township committee, I was a member of the Andover Regional Board of Education for 9 years, and our budget was bigger than the municipal budget, and we had well over 100 employees. That was a very good place for me to begin my education in serving on a board of this nature, where you are responsible not only for putting together the budget, but also seeing how that money is spent over that year that follows when you put the budget together.
Thank you. Ben?
Whether it's large or small, sums of money, you do the most and get the most you can out of the money, with the money, and use it wisely. Don't overspend. And do the best you can with what you got. Because if you don't, what happens there, you only end up increasing more costs. If you can do with what you got, you do with what you got.
Okay. All right, Janice, you're running for a position that requires a 3-year commitment, as you know, of your time. In the past few years, in what activities or organizations outside of this position have you volunteered your time, and how does that contribute to your professional experience for this position?
That's a good question. Let's see. I am a member of Sustainable Andover. I don't hold a position with them on a board, but I attend their meetings, and I love what they do. I do work. Also, I have a job that's not a volunteer job. I would have to say that as far as charitable organizations, I have helped with Project Self-Sufficiency, and I have also helped, and this goes back years ago, Meals on Wheels. Whenever I had the opportunity and the time to volunteer, I always tried to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ben?
Brett, the question was, what did or what have I? I mean, I spent 5.5 years.
In other words, you're right now, you're looking to commit 3 years of your time.
Right.
And in the past few years, in what activities and organizations have you volunteered your time that you feel might help you with this position?
5.5 years on a land use planning board. Belong to the Knights of Columbus. They do many things, and anything that they ask you if you can volunteer up to the fair, wherever, whenever, if possible, if you can certainly lend your hand, they certainly appreciate it. So it's a great organization, along with, like I said to everyone, anyone, pick up the phone, you have an emergency, whatever I can do to help anyone, that's what I'm about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike?
I spent 4 years on the Wayne Township Planning Board, which we used to start our meetings around 7 o'clock. Sometimes they didn't get home until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. That was an unpaid position, volunteer. I give to charities, Wounded Warriors. I was a volunteer. I was a softball coach for my daughter's softball team for many years. Various charities. I run the softball tournament in the town. Unfortunately, last year we did not have it. We're looking to do it, reinstate it, but after that, That charity alone raised over $30,000 for the food bank, kidney fund. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have named any because if I leave one out, I get yelled at. But we've raised over $30,000 for different charities. And I always made it that the teams got to choose their charities instead of me saying that it was the charity for what I expected them to do. So each team named their own charity and money was given to them.
Thank you. Okay. Andover, and this is for Ben. Andover Township collects open space tax money from its residents. How do you feel those funds should be invested?
Andover Township collects all the money from its residents.
Open space.
Open space.
I'm sorry, I wasn't talking loud enough.
Well, they've got to speak.
Well, it's,
Okay. How should it be spent? I'll tell you all, when I voted for open space, it was for open space, not for nothing other than, I know it got distorted, it's been distorted, but I just want you all to know, I voted for open space. And I'm talking even the county, where it ends up buying swampland. It's like, the ideal thing about open space money is to buy open space. Open space that can be built on, that you keep from being built on. And honestly, I'll say a lot of that money has been spent many different ways. I don't even know the rules, what, you are allowed, not allowed to spend that money, but that was my intent, to buy land. And unfortunately, I'm sure if we do a check, the money that has been collected over the years is not where it should be, unfortunately. So, that's about all I have to say, and I thank you for that.
okay, Mike?
Well, the open space money is in the open space account, so there's nothing nefarious going on there. We have bought properties. The problem that I see is when you buy a property that really wasn't developable and you took it off the tax map. Then we have to maintain that property. So it's a double-edged sword. The DPW does a very good job of maintaining that, but of course that costs money. We have the barn, the fields, that's all open space. We bought a piece of property on Limecrest, which I felt was not able to be developed, but we bought it anyway. It does have to be maintained. We do have to invest money in it. So the money from open space does have to be used for the maintenance as well as the purchase of these properties. Otherwise, it goes into our tax base once again.
Okay, Janice?
I feel that open space money, well, there are laws. It's governed by the law how you can legally spend it, and it should be spent on acquiring land and maintaining that land. We do have a project currently that we are working on in committee with the Open Space Committee, and that is, we call it the Lake Isle Access. And that borders Limecrest Road, and it's a piece of property that is 17 acres. It was purchased about 10 years ago, and what the Open Space Committee is trying to do is get that into condition so that someone can actually park there and bring a boat or a canoe to the lake so that they can access the lake. And I believe that that's the true heart of what open space should be doing.
Okay. This is, I believe, going to be the last question for the evening before you give your 2-minute closing statements.
So we're gonna get one more question.
Pardon?
Next one.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead.
What did you say?
Who's quit? Is it for Mike or for?
It's for Mike. but
He's
I was just
having a
saying-
hard time hearing, so I'm just
I'm sorry, it's
asking
for
him.
Mike, but I was just.
Thanks, Mike.
She said, one more question.
Okay, all right, this question is a little different, and we're gonna start with you, Mike. Every community or every township or municipality has its own set of different people, different age groups, school-aged, seniors, they need recreation, how do you feel that Andover Township addresses all of the needs for all of its people, and how is their communication for the different departments working? do you feel that there needs to be improvement in that area, or are you satisfied with it? What would you do during the next 3 years to ensure that the communications between all of these entities is working smoothly?
Wait a minute, is that for Mike or for me? I
It's
thought it was for
for
Mike.
Mike.
I'm making sure you hear me, that's what I'm
Straight.
doing.
That's okay. Boy, you saved the best question for last, man. That's a really tough question. You know, we have the fields for the kids. We have soccer, we have softball, we have baseball, we have senior.
Excuse me, as the moderator, I can give you 2 minutes to answer this question, up to 2 minutes.
Okay. All right. It's really, like I said, it's a tough question because you have so many working parts. We have the senior center over in the borough, so the communication is very good there. Janice actually heads up that, she's a liaison to them, does a fantastic job of reporting back, so I wouldn't say that there's any problem there. We do have some interaction between softball and baseball and Little League as to soccer, as to who gets to use the field and not. So can that be fixed? Probably. But I think, you know, the DPW does a great job with that. Tom Walsh is always, you know, throwing himself into the mix on handling it. Could we do better? Absolutely. I think there's always room for improvement. But if there was one specific item, nothing really that pops to mind, because I really haven't heard any major problems with any division of our town or interaction with those groups. I mean, we have Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, commuters, individuals, you know, we have good restaurants, we have good bars, so that keeps the middle people happy too, you know, not the kids and not the seniors. I don't know what else to say. That's, like I say, that's probably the toughest question all night.
So you think it's working?
But like I said, there's always room for improvement. But specifically, I have not heard a major issue. There's always little things that go on.
Okay.
But I think the communication is good. Actually, if that's the case, the communication is good. So.
Okay, great. Janice?
Thank you. I'll take 2 minutes just in case. And could you repeat the question again?
This is
Hold on a second.
moderator
1 second.
So it's going to be
Get
kind
you.
of.
And that,
I'll try to repeat it as
Here,
best
why
as
don't
I
you grab
can.
the microphone for this?
it'll be,
'cause-
you know what, it wasn't that I didn't hear you, it was just a confusing question.
Oh, well, basically, what I'm asking is, you have different entities within your township, like all municipalities do.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the rec department, like Mike was saying, you have, you know, seniors, you have DPW, you have all of these entities that need to communicate with one another in order to run effectively.
Gotcha.
How do you feel the communication is? Do you feel that it's adequate? Could it be improved?
Thank you. Well, the first part of it, the communication part of it, I think that on the committee, we do have a really good handle on it. And when we do our committee reports, everybody lets everyone else know what has been going on with their liaison commitments. But I think sometimes we need to get that information, and it's very difficult. Communication is so important, and it's one of the hardest things to really continue to keep a handle on. I think that we could do a better job in letting residents know what's going on. And it may be as simple as continuing to change the bulletin board outside all the time for whatever is happening that week. And people know that they can access us on our website. But communication, it's difficult. And again, just totally important. You mentioned another thing in the question, Tony, that was to do with whether or not people in the town have things to do. And I think, again, and we've said this during this question, there are lots of things for kids to do. We have great fields. We have organizations that are, you know, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, and those organizations have been very, very, very helpful to us. They've done Eagle Scout, and the equivalent of Eagle Scout, I can't recall it for a girl. They've done major works at our park and on our trails. But I don't think there's a lot for adults to do. And one thing that I mentioned with the Lake Isle access, if that could be an area where adults could possibly go on their own, put a boat in, go fishing, it's not necessarily as child-oriented. Was that 2 minutes?
I went fast, didn't
Goes by
it?
fast.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, Janice.
thank you.
Okay, Ben, you are not on the committee yet, but you can see what goes on, and how do you feel about that?
And how everything functions at all?
Yeah, and how people communicate and organizations get together, that kind of thing.
I would say actually everything that I see, everything functions pretty much on a normal basis. My children, they have played, they continue to play soccer. Again, there's baseball, they've never gotten involved in that, but anything that really needs to be done, I'd say pretty much as far as it gets done. Could there always be room for improvement? That's just a matter of an opinion. Like I say, I really have no gripes. Everything seems to be okay by me.
Okay, then.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much. And now we're going to have the closing statements. And we'll start with Mike.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Once again, thank you everybody for showing up tonight, giving me us the opportunity to share our vision for Andover Township. Over the past 6 years, I've strived to serve this town to the very best of my abilities and to run it more like a business and less like a bureaucracy. From making the banking change the first month to negotiating fair contracts that will lessen the future tax burden on our residents, I've always put 100% into the job, and it is a job. Many days and nights away from my family, attending meetings and seminars in order to learn more about how to save real money for the town. We have numerous major issues on our plate for the next year. We have 2 union contracts being negotiated, a garbage contract, and we have the revaluation coming up as well. So now is definitely not the time to speak in platitudes and campaign promises that sound good but have no real substance. Andover Township needs good, strong leaders with a proven track record to ensure the residents are being represented in the very best possible way. I will also continue to fight for all residents, no matter whether at contract negotiation table or the county freeholders meeting room. I don't answer to political machine or power brokers. I answer to you, the residents of this town. And I ask for the opportunity to continue to do so. I ask for your vote on June 2nd. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Janice?
Thanks. In closing, I'd like to mention my work with the committees that I am the township liaison to. The first one is open space, and I have mentioned it quite a bit this evening, but it's something that is very important to me. Andover has beautiful parks, trails, and lakes. It should be something that we actively market to attract residents to our town and also visitors, and of course business. Because if you have more visitors, you'll be able to support more business, just as one of the sides. Many of our residents use our facilities, but I think that more would if they were aware of all that Andover does have to offer. We're currently working on an access to Lake Isle so that people can access the lake for boating and fishing. This is a 17-acre property that was acquired by the town about 10 years ago, give or take. We currently have lots of fields for school-aged children, but there isn't as much for adults to do. So it would be possible to put a horseshoe pit here or bocce ball, something else. Next one, Greater Andover Senior Club. I've met the most amazing and wonderful people through this group. You only need to be 55 years young to join. Andover Regional Board of Education. Am I stopped? Oh, I see the stop.
No.
Andover Regional Board of Education. We need strong schools to have a vibrant housing market and, of course, to have educated children. I'm a former school board member, and I believe, and that's a volunteer, by the way. I'm a former school board member, and I believe that the school and the entire community should and can work together for everyone's benefit. I am not on the executive board, but I am a member of Sustainable Andover. And sustainability is basically plant a small garden, use a compost pile, catch rainwater to water plants, less lawn, more wildflowers, recycle, upcycle, possibilities are endless. Regardless of the results of this election, I'm happy with what I've accomplished, but I will be happiest if I'm given the opportunity to continue to work on what has been started. Thank you very much, and good luck to all of us.
Thank you. Ben?
There's not enough time to talk.
You have time.
I'd like to thank you and the Women's League of Municipalities, Bill Howe, the Republican Party, the audience, thank you all for coming. And once again, I'd like to talk about the base, which given an opportunity, we need to work harder, no matter what. We need to work harder and more of that smooth, streamlined transition, help existing businesses, bring new businesses to town to help our tax base, because that's one of the things that will help. The other thing, go out on June 2nd and help me. I do want to rid ourselves of the medical benefits. We have an opportunity to stop. We did it last year. I asked you to go again this year. I will work hard for you. I will not quit. Don't quit on me. This is my third time. And I don't know that I just keep going. I mean, seriously, I am determined, and I ask you to go out on June 2nd, vote for Ellsworth E. Bensley Jr., and I will work hard for you. I spent 5.5 years on the Land Use Planning Board. My term wasn't renewed. I'm fine with that. That's the term limit. It was up. I'm good to go. I spend my time helping people, and I ask again, go out there and vote on June 2nd. You won't find a harder worker than me. And nobody's going to watch over your dollars better than me. I said this at the last debate. And with that, I thank you all for coming.
Thank you. And can we give them a nice round of applause? Good luck to you.
Thank you. Mike, thanks for helping me.
You're
I
up.
appreciate that.
You're up.
Because I really can't hear.
All right, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
And thank you for attending the third annual Republican Committee debate.